So hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 35 and in this video we solve our exercise. Our exercise was that there are two friends who are playing a game and they play a game 10 rounds and each round they score points in numbers. And then the winner will be who got the most points after 10 rounds, which we will print out later on screen, right? And let's get started. There are different ways how you can solve that. I make a random one. I don't know if mine is very good because I have not prepared this at all. I just throw something in and I hope it works. So very important here to mention is we will try, of course, using not all but most of this what we learned so far. I will repeat some of them and yeah, that's it. Let's get started. So first of all, I want the player names. Okay, how we get the player names? We use first of all, to get player names we need variables, right? All-time variables, because we want save these names. If you hear, okay, let's save them. And what names, what type of names is, what type we need for names? Is this a string? Of course, there are other things too later, but in this case, we take strings, right? Okay, std, and we learned string is a special, it's a non-primitive type. That's why we use this std : and then we write here player name, something descriptive, and I assign a default value, default. And the same thing I do for the second player name 2, and I assign here a default value. So, and let's repeat a little bit. This was our type restriction, this was our variable name, this was our assignment operator, which we learned. This quotation marks is needed for string to assign values. Values in this case means words. And here one more hint: we have not covered error handling when we input later wrong names or wrong numbers or something. That comes in later chapter. So we make all time at the start, let's say, without check, but it will work. So let's go on. Okay, I have now these variables, but I want the player names, which means I have to ask them on screen that they should enter their player names. We learned this already, how to do this. First of all, we need on screen a message to the players that they should enter their names one by one. Let's do this. And we learned this also. Is this std cout what we learned? This is I forgot here on top something. What I forgot here. If you use std string, which is a non-primitive type, you need all time a library. And in this case, you need this include. Okay. And we started, of course, int main. And here's some one more thing. In main, I use also this std get char, and this one we used so that the program paused later when we create a program. And if you use this one, of course, you need one more library, which is we learned this one. Okay, and this one we use in a moment too. And with this one, then let's continue. So on screen, I want give the players a message that they should enter their names, and we do this with std cout, and then we write here, for example, please enter your name. Enter your name player 1, and something like that, and then he will enter his name here. And when we use std cout, make sure you are including iostream, because this one is in this. So, and then how the player can enter his name, we learned this as well. We use std in. It's the opposite of cout. And std in, like cout, needs the library iostream. We have it already. Perfect. And then we can write. And how we save now to player number 1 this input, we just write here player name 1. Perfect. So this one will save for player number 1, but we need it for the other player too. So let's copy this code. Control C, we copy this, Control V. And important, when you copy something, make sure that you concentrate through this code again, because many errors happens then, not because the code is wrong or what you copied, because you have not changed it to the new state. What I mean with that is to the new thing what you want. In my case, I want it for player 2, right? So I have to change here the name, for example, player 2. And I have also changed here the player name 2. And of course, this one is a very little copy, but when we have later 100-line codes, then make sure that you go the code really through and check all these little things, or it will cause an error. So that said, we can continue. We save this, and the next thing is what we are going to do is we check. And why we check here and not at the end, I told you that also it's very important to check right away the code what you made step by step. And the reason for that is if you check here and here, and if an error is here, you can solve it very fast. But if you check it at the end after you finished your code, you can check it still, but not fast. And the problem there is one arrow here on top and one arrow here in the middle and one arrow here and at the end can cause other errors, who, for example, where is no error normally, and so on. They are making it even worse. And that's why we check all the codes step by step. Okay, let's go check it. And how we check it? Very easy. We just start this program for a check. That's all time nice. And now it says, please enter your name, player name. Okay, player. Okay, I enter it, coder. And please enter your name, player 2. Okay, Superman. All right. This one works so far, but the problem here is we don't see if we have really saved the variables in our values. We assume we have, but we are not sure, right? And how we can make sure? There are two ways. One way is the longer way for variables, but a good way for other cases is just, you can write here just the outprint. See out, this one works nice. You can just say check something, check value, check player name 1 value, something like so. Value just, and this one is called a developer output, which you don't use later in code. You make this just for check purposes and something like that. And there in later, if you get better and better, there are real professional check systems, but at start we use this kind of checks. And we say here, okay, player name 1, perfect. And I need here a new line for optic, so that later it looks nice when I read it. And when I start now here, let's start it, oops, here. Then you can see, okay, I write coder again. And here, check player name value, it's coder. It's indeed saved coder. And I can stop actually, and you can of course make this check for the player 2. But here is another way, an easier way. This one was a check for developer, and comment this out after this check, or just delete it if you know you never need it anymore. In my case, I don't need this. That's why I delete it. But if you need it later, still keep something like that. And in this case, we have an easier check. And the easier check we learned also with debug. Debug means just make here a dot. Let's say I want to check this player name. So, which means I will enter the player name here, right? Then I go one step further, because the debug will only go here. Then it will evaluate this input. And then after it jumps to the next line, it will show what it's made one line before. That's very important to note. And when I start now here, the debug will, first of all, I have to enter my name. And now what happens is, you see, it's not going on because debug is started actually. And let's lower this one, and it jumps to this line. And we can see at this line the player number 1 value here, it's coder, and that was what we wanted to check. Yes, at this line this value is coder. Perfect. And we can stop. This is also a fast and easy way to check. Just make here a debug, start, check, and stop. Easier than the printing, but this works now. But this other one is also very nice for special cases. But in this case, I think debug is faster. That said, we can go on. We have checked all. Perfect, nice, and go on. So next is I want to play a scores. Here we have to think a little bit how we make. There are different kind of solutions. For example, do you want that the players give the scores after each round, or do you want to write the scores right in front, like me, to spare time? Or you want, yeah, you have here creativity is big. You can have different kind of solutions. I make a very fast, simple solution, not to waste too much time here on doing this, but I say how you can solve this later also. So let's say not STD. First of all, what we need, I want to play a scores. How we solve this at all at first. So first I need something like scores list. Okay, we need something like scores means I need a score list, and list means we need an array. So far we learned only an array, because an array isn't list, right? We can put there more, and the scores must be in numbers, because here in my definition on top I said scores in number points, but I didn't say here on top if I use int or float. So you can use here int or float. Int is full numbers and float are decimal point numbers, so you can choose which you want. And we make a list, and we learned how to create a list. We say it is a database. So let's get started. First I use int. Int is a primitive type, like this one is a non-primitive. This one is a non-primitive type. This one is a primitive type. That's why we have not this colon here. And I use now a list of scores for player number 1. That's why I write here player name 1, a database. And now this one is just, so this variable name is very descriptive, I think, because if anyone should read this player name 1 database, he knows automatically this one is connected, right, to this player 1, and it's his database, right? I hope this makes sense. Don't make a variable name like X, Y, or something like that, which nobody understands. There is a reason why you can make this when you go to encrypting or something like that, but right now please not in learning this one, and later in programming also not. So let's go on. Now we choose a very good variable name. Perfect. But we want a array, right? And how we made the array? There are different ways. One way is, well, first of all, this square brackets we definitely need, and now this is an array. But we can now decide if we write here the elements. In our case, we want 10 rounds, 10 times, so they play this game 10 times, which means I make a list of 10 elements and they write the scores then in, and then that's it. And later I can assign these values, or they can assign these values with a for loop. But this is a very nice solution, but in my case I make not the solution, because this would take much more coding time, and I don't want make too long this video, because I have to break it anyway. So that's why I make the second solution, which we learned. When you write nothing in it, then you have to directly initialize this, right? We learned this. And how we make this? We make an assignment operator, and then we start with the curly braces, and now I write here the numbers in for player number 1. And let's say he scored 43, 34, also around this one, 41 thing, and then he scored very poorly, 30, and then he scored very nice, 39, and so on. Let's write here a little bit more numbers. And well, I should write 10 numbers, that's very important. Let's write here a little bit more. And I think these are 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. No, it's not 10, it's one more. Okay, something like so. So now we have 10 numbers. Cool. And perfect. And this one, of course, you can make different. You can make with that they inputted I. Normally you have this as a programmer, you don't have this list normally. So this is not the optimal solution because this one will be given you later normally. But like I said, I want not waste too much time on screen here with coding. That's why I make this direct list. And of course, I make this for the player number 2 as well. That's why I copy this one. And again, this copying, careful, right? We have to change carefully. First of all, we want change here for the player number 2 database. And then this value should be definitely not the same. And I make here little changes. I make here one time more, one time less. It's not optimal, but for the sake of this video, let's do it. Whatever. It will work. And this one, I make sure that all time one has more and one has less. And and let's see what happens. So, and you see, now I created here 2 databases. And with that said, I won't stop this video here because it's already long. And the next video we go. But before we go, we have to check our arrows. Like I said, after all steps, make a check if this is working. Let's make this one before we stop. And we have an error. Do we have an error? No, we have not. It was just not popping up. So that's good. So write it, coder. Let me go for Superman. And I have no outprint again. That can be cause problems, but in our case, it should be not a big deal, but you can check these values as well if you want. But here I stop, and in the next video we continue because this video is too long. So see you in the next. I will right away creating the next.